Successful people who got crappy grades in high school or college. What are you doing now and how did, or didn't, your grades affect your success/career? I got really bad grades in both. When I was in my early 30s, I had a big chip on my shoulder about it and started taking college classes at large, one at a time. The motivation I had to do well in them was incredible. After a while of that, I was able to take my new transcripts and use them to get into grad school. No one cared that I had gotten poor grades 10 years earlier. As a college professor, I really think one of the biggest struggles for a good portion of my students, certainly not all, is a lack of maturity and not being in the right headspace for college in the 18-22-year-old age range. Most of them certainly have the intellectual capacity to do the work, though many are grossly underprepared. I truly wish more students would put off attending college until they have a better sense of what they want out of life. Rich kids can float through college and treat it like a 4-year party and be fine in life because their family and wealth will protect them from consequences. But poor, working class, and middle class kids really can't afford to take such an approach to their education. We do a big disservice by pushing college education on kids who aren't ready for it. Teach college and give other people bad grades. It's the circle of mediocrity. As far as the grades go, nobody looked at them after I graduated. Edit. Some people are asking questions. After I got sick of my office job, I got into tutoring, then found a job in a private educational company. Once I've had enough experience, universities were offering me jobs. You don't need a PhD to be a university lecturer. For example, my family law class was taught by a practicing lawyer, not a full-time professor. I'm currently a scientist and enjoy doing research. I come from a country where emphasis is on memorizing rather than learning and applying the said knowledge. I failed a lot during school. Luckily, when it was time to look for universities, sister campus of a well-known university opened where I lived. Their entry requirements were not that bad. I got in, and my grades improved massively as I could apply what I learned. Moved countries to do a master's and a PhD, and here I'm now. I still curse my original country's style of education. Edit. Thought this would be buried here, but my fellows Indians found me. Yes, I'm Indian. My husband and I are opposites. We are both intelligent, but I was very motivated to get good grades at school etc, whereas he was not. We met at university where I once again outperformed him when we graduated. I initially got the better paid, better jobs and was the main earner. Then, he got employed at a world-renowned company in an entry-level job, but in a sector he was passionate about. It also turned out, when motivated and interested in the subject matter, he has a genuine talent for innovation. Within 8 years, he worked his way up from a bottom-rung grunt on a temp contract to an associate director, who, when he got headhunted by another company, was given a 40% pay rise as a counter-offer to keep him, because it was acknowledged how valuable to his company he is. He has the most motivated team in his section of the company. I, on the other hand, lost motivation, got trapped in a role that has de-skilled me, and when I applied for a role, was told my degree is no longer relevant because it's over 10 years old. So, in summary, grades are bullshit and it's more important to find something you enjoy and are good at, in my experience/opinion. Astronomer here. I was never a good student because I couldn't for the life of me take tests well. I could study hard, but somehow never be able to answer things in the exams. Either total blank or totally misread the question type stuff. So I mainly got B's and C's, just over a 3.0 in high school, and a 3.2 in college. But even failed the occasional exam in high school and college. It was pretty demoralizing, especially when the advice in high school was just that I must be lazy, even when I worked hard to study, as there seemed to be no difference if I did or didn't. By college I realized I just don't test well, so I had to make up for it by turning in really good homework for the chance of a B or a C as my final grade. So I worked hard on those problem sets. I also got to know my profs in office hours and ask questions. And helping with those homeworks aside, that definitely helped me sometimes. When I was on the cusp between two letter grades, profs usually bump up students they know worked hard in their class. as they are people. One of those profs offered me a summer job in his lab, so I got a ton of research experience in as well. Ultimately, when applying for grad school, I got into one program for my astronomy PhD. It turns out taking exams really has no bearing on your capacity to do research, and instead the grit to work extra hard on homework and in the lab was way more useful. So I completed my PhD and did kick-ass research. So just started my postdoc in astronomy a few weeks ago at Harvard. It's so surreal to me, as I never thought I was good enough for a position like mine. So in conclusion, I always make it clear to people that you don't have to be a straight A student to make it in STEM. Doing that would have definitely helped, but wasn't going to happen for me. And ultimately, if you're passionate about your topic enough to work extra hard at it, you can also succeed. Don't count yourself out too quick. I was a very good pupil up until tenure. Then it went from not great to pretty bad to awful to get that guy out of my school. I'm talking grades. I was not particularly well behaved all the time, especially a bit confrontational when I had a feeling of injustice. But several of my teachers were still quite fond of my smartass. I ended up trying many different curriculums, mostly its stuff. Failed every single one of them up until the point I could do nothing more but start to search for a job at 26. With my biggest diploma being the basic one everybody in my country pass at 17 or 18, and even that one I got at 22 at my third attempt. Then as soon as I started to work, things felt much more real than at school, much more fun and motivating. I started to find solutions to problems people didn't even knew they had, and after years of being the weird kid at school, I suddenly became rather well liked by all. It boosted my confidence. Playing with the systems upped my skills, and everything has been great ever since. I have now a very good position as a senior system engineer in a huge international structure. My bosses are very happy with my work, and I'm very happy to have the latitude to set myself most of my agenda. So, bad grades? It did not affect my career at all. Somehow, as a kid, I had that weird feeling that my grades weren't going to be important in the long run. And that's how it unfolded. I'm now rather proud of my accomplishments, especially as being so bad at school left so many people thinking I was dumb. And my apocalyptic grades add a nice backstory when discussing my career, though I / always stress when talking about it with kids that I have been extremely lucky, and that the probability of such a happy end when you suck that much in school are extremely low. Went to for-profit college that didn't care about grades, but also was world renowned and had an incredible curriculum. Graduated college with a 2.7 GPA. Got my first job at a recording studio because I went to this school. Got a job at a radio station because even though my grades weren't great, I know my stuff, and even walked out of college with a few certs. Now, I run my own recording studio and have several other side hustles. Turns out I'm not dumb, just have a problem with authority. I had some serious depression in college that tanked my grades. I managed to end up with a 3.0 GPA, but I failed several courses in my major. I pretty much had A's or F's. I did well enough and interviewed well enough that I got a job. It has mostly affected me in that I'm worried I won't get into a good graduate school program because of my crappy grades in my major. I haven't applied, but I know I would do well now that my mental health is in order, and I know my grades don't show that. I got C's in high school and failed out of college twice. I then joined the Marine Corps, got out and used my GI Bill to get my bachelor's and master's degree successfully. I now work in a major corporation doing data analytics and logistics work and make a pretty great salary with tons of potential to make a lot more, since my company only promotes from within at the levels I'm at. I'm also in the process of starting my side business that will hopefully go full time in the next few years with some of my savings from my career. My family lives a very comfortable lifestyle with nice cars and a nice house. Although I did fail out of college twice, I did wind up getting 2 degrees. I just want people to know, since a lot of former Marines always tell me this: even if you aren't book smart or a school person, go get your damn degree. especially if you have the GI Bill. I hated every second of school, like despised it, but stuck through it. Even if you don't have the GI Bill, student debt isn't as bad as Reddit makes it out. I had some from when I failed out of school twice. My wife has her master's degree and it more than pays for her student loans. We both worked full time and got our degrees at the same time. With kids, community colleges are cheap and state schools aren't bad either. Just work hard, put in more effort than those around you, and most of the time you'll succeed. I was a very average student through high school, and even more average during university, even repeating a bunch of units as I struggled through. But I got there, and graduated with a degree in chemistry. Been a good ride since. Successful in instrumental analysis AMD managing laboratories, and now earning well over 6 figures internationally in the oil and gas industry. My grades never mattered. The piece of paper merely served as a key to many doors. I'm in it. But I think my situation applies in most, not all, fields. As time passes, the focus gradually switches to your experience. After 5 to 10 years, your experience, track record, and fit within the org will become the key. No one will care about what grade you got in calculus. After 26 years in my field, my resume has one half line that acknowledges I graduated from 30 and 19/20th with a degree in ZZZ. I barely made it through high school. I failed biology and physics. I have degrees in biology and physics now. 6-figure salary. I stopped ducking off, playing video games all day, smoking pot, and chasing women. Oh, I can actually weigh in on this one. It'll probably get buried, but if it reaches one student who it helps, it's worth it. So I was an absolutely horrible student. Very much one of those why would I do homework when the alternative is to not do homework and get a C anyway kind of kids. This continued throughout school, into state university, and eventually ending with getting a degree in business management, because online courses are a joke and you can just Google the answer to every online test question on your phone. Anyway, I got a decent job in my field, networked, got a better job in my field, networked, and now make almost 6 figures a year. And you know what? I'm miserable. As it turns out, there was a reason why I didn't want to do homework and couldn't remain focused in class and had to literally cheat my way through university. I wasn't interested in what I was studying. My thoughts were that, as long as I made enough money to do what I liked, what I did 9 to 5 every day would be worth it. Nope. It's soul crushing to go into work every day and be bored for 8 to 9 hours until you leave. It's terrible and it affects every part of your life. Worse, it sets you up for failure because eventually you will simply stall out. Why would you go above and beyond when the thought of even doing the baseline makes you want to vomit in disgust and apathy? So the question needs to be, why are you getting C's? Is it because you genuinely don't care about the subject matter? Good. Use that. You've just eliminated another route that would lead you to where I am. Hate writing. Don't be a writer. Hate adding numbers to each of the 200 times a day. Don't be an accountant. Hate studying. Don't be a doctor or a lawyer. However, do you love working on cars? Study to be a mechanic. Think physics is interesting and the theoretical stuff? Engineering might be your speed. Like logic and puzzles? Pick up a book on Python and HTML and see if any of that tickles your fancy. C students aren't underachievers or lazy. C students are a group of people who don't find maths, writing, or research, memorization to be interesting or engaging. I would much rather make half of what I make now, which would still let me live pretty comfortably, doing something I actually enjoy than making what I do now waiting to get fired because, once again, but in a more professional environment. Why would I do homework when the alternative is to not do homework and get a C anyway? I didn't flunk anything except my cooking class I took in high school, but I also didn't do well enough to qualify for any kind of scholarships for college or anything. Here's my personal experience as a result of that. Personally, I always felt like I was above average intelligence, and I think a lot of my peers did too. Like I would still help people learn the material if they were struggling. So I don't think my confidence took a hit like it would most C average students. I also think I got really lucky being born when I did, because the nearer I got to a professional life, the less important college started becoming. Some major companies no longer require college degrees, and while I don't work for any of them, the reality is that lesser companies take notice. And I started seeing a lot more available jobs that said something to the effect of college degree preferred, but not required, or college degree or equivalent experience. So that helped me go from restaurant management, where they'll let any buffoon who finished high school have a crack at it, into hospitality at a major convention hotel. Still, as I worked my way up the ranks there, it got tough to compete with college kids that my company was literally recruiting, hiring and at external higher pay rates. Not that they shouldn't have done that, but it's my reason I don't think those rates were intended for 22-year-olds. And giving positions where it really was gonna take the kid 1 to 2 years to get enough experience to be able to actually, in my opinion, deserve and perform the position. Fast forward a couple years, and I now am part owner and operator of a small real estate company. I think I've just not naturally conformed to the way most other people do things. So this feels like a perfect fit for me, running the business. I can do things the way I want to do them, and more importantly, the way I think they should be done. I'm doing things fair for our agents, for our customers, and for myself and my business partner. I can encourage and foster things I've seen companies I've worked for discourage: having a sense of humor in the workplace, clear and honest communication, maintaining a work-life balance, etc. So yeah, mostly C's in high school, turning to mostly G's in my bank account. I'll see myself out. Close bracket. My dad dropped out of high school around 15 because his mom had kicked him out of the house. It has been almost 25 years, and he has been working in aerospace manufacturing for about 20 years. He now runs one of the biggest machine shops and does work for Boeing, NASA and a plethora of other manufacturers. Super proud of where he is now. The company that he helped build from the ground up just recently sold for $99 million. Failure at school. Went down the tough road of construction. Became a master electrician. Got in maintenance at a production plant. There learned welding and machining. Am confident and proud and love my job. Learn a trade people. First F in 7th grade. Took 10 years to get my bachelor's. Own 2 businesses now and targeting a low 7-figure year for the second in a row. Hey, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.